The parking lot shouldn't have felt alive. It was concrete, oil-stained, and empty, just another forgotten slab behind a half-lit shopping complex that had been dying for years. And yet, as I sat in my car with the engine off, hands resting uselessly on the steering wheel, I could swear the ground beneath me rose and fell, slow and deliberate, like a massive chest pulling in air. In out, I laughed under my breath. Sharp and nervous, the kind of laugh people use to convince themselves they're still rational. "You're exhausted," I muttered. That's all. It had been a long night, too long. The kind of night that stretches thin, where emotions feel louder than logic and every shadow feels personal. I'd stayed late at work, again avoiding the quiet of my apartment, avoiding the unanswered messages on my phone, avoiding him. The engine ticked softly as it cooled. The overhead streetlights flickered, casting long, jaundiced shadows across the rows of empty parking spaces. Somewhere in the distance, a sign buzzed, its neon letters half dead, spelling out nothing readable anymore. Then the ground moved again. This time, there was no mistaking it. The concrete beneath my tires subtly expanded, the faintest ripple traveling outward like breath passing through lungs too large to comprehend. My stomach tightened. I looked down. The parking lot was breathing, not violently, not dramatically, just patiently. As if it had been doing this for a very long time and didn't care whether I noticed or not. Cold slid up my spine. I unlocked my door without realizing it. The click far too loud in the silence. My instincts screamed at me to stay inside the car, to start the engine and leave. But something heavier than fear pinned me there. Curiosity, maybe? Or the familiar ache of loneliness that made bad decisions feel almost reasonable. The moment my foot touched the ground, the breathing paused. The air felt thick, humid in a way that had nothing to do with the weather. I stood slowly, the door creaking beside me, and scanned the lot. Empty. No cars, no people. Just cracked asphalt, weeds pushing through seams. In the faint glow of storefront windows long since abandoned. The ground seemed to whisper. Then it exhaled. I stumbled back, heart pounding. The surface beneath my shoes visibly sank a fraction of an inch, dust trembling as if shaken by a deep, internal sigh. It wasn't imagination anymore. The parking lot was responding to me. I should have left instead. I stepped forward. Each footfall felt wrong. Not unstable, but intimate. Like pressing a palm against someone's chest and feeling their heartbeat respond. The sensation sent a shiver through me, equal parts terror and something disturbingly close to connection. "Hello," I called out. My voice cracking in the open space, the sound echoed strangely, bending, as if swallowed before it could fully return to me. The lights flickered again, brighter this time, and that's when I noticed the stains. Dark patches marred the concrete, scattered irregularly across the lot. At first glance, they looked like oil. But oil doesn't pulse. These did slow, synchronized with the breathing beneath my feet. Memory stirred. It's unwanted. I hadn't been back here since college. Since the night everything fell apart. Since the night I'd kissed someone, succumbing to I wasn't supposed to love in a place that wasn't supposed to matter, and then watched fear erase him from my life. My chest tightened. That's not possible. I whispered, the ground inhaled. The stains darkened. I took another step, drawn toward the center of the lot where the breathing felt strongest. Each movement made the concrete respond, subtle but undeniable, like the space itself was aware of my presence. The air smelled faintly metallic now, mixed with rain and something organic warm. Alive. Then I heard it, footsteps. I spun around. Who's there? No answer. The footsteps continued, slow and deliberate, circling me just beyond the reach of the flickering lights. My pulse roared in my ears. "This isn't funny," I said, though I wasn't sure who I was speaking to. "I'm leaving." I turned back, toward my car, and froze. The distance had doubled. The car sat far too far away, warped by perspective, as if the parking lot had stretched while my back was turned. The breathing beneath me quickened, shallow now, excited. Panic bloomed hot in my chest. "Stop," I said, louder. "Please." Just stop. The footsteps halted. Something shifted in the darkness beyond the lights. A silhouette emerged, tall and indistinct, standing where the stains were darkest. The figure didn't move closer, but I felt its attention settle on me with unsettling familiarity. "Do you remember?" it asked, voice low and layered. "What you left here?" My throat closed. I knew that voice. "No," I said, even as my heart betrayed me. "That's not possible." The figure stepped forward into the light and the parking lot exhaled deeply, like a satisfied sigh. The face wasn't exactly his. It shifted subtly, like a memory struggling to stay still. But the eyes were unmistakable. Soft, hurt, familiar in a way that made my chest ache. "I waited," the figure said. "You never came back." The concrete beneath me pulsed harder now, rising and falling like lungs working overtime. I felt it through my shoes, through my bones, through places inside me I thought I'd buried. I was scared. I whispered. "I didn't know how to stay." The figure tilted its head. "And now?" The question hung heavy in the air. The lights flickered violently. The breathing deepened. The stains began to spread, veins of darkness branching outward beneath the surface. Now, the parking lot wasn't just breathing, it was waking up. The figure didn't move closer. Yet I felt it everywhere, like pressure building inside my chest. Like the moment before tears spill or a confession escapes. The parking lot continued its slow, deliberate breathing beneath us. The concrete subtly rising and falling as if it were listening. I didn't know how to come back. I said again, quieter this time. Saying it aloud felt dangerous, like loosening a knot that had kept everything else contained. I thought leaving was safer. The figure's eyes softened, not forgiving, not angry, but tired. "Safer for who?" it asked. The ground inhaled sharply, and a crack spidered across the concrete near my feet, stopping just short of my shoes. I flinched back instinctively. The parking lot responded immediately, the breathing stuttering as if reacting to my fear. For me, I admitted, I was scared of being seen, of wanting something I wasn't supposed to. The figure nodded slowly, as if that answer had been expected. "This place remembers," it said. "It remembers everything you pressed into it, I guess." As it spoke, the stains on the ground began to change. They weren't just dark patches anymore, they were impressions, handprints, footprints, faint outlines of bodies where people had once sat. Once cried, once kissed in the dark because it felt like the only safe place left. My stomach twisted. I remembered the night clearly now. The hum of broken streetlights. The way my laugh had sounded too loud, too exposed. The warmth of his hand against mine, trembling slightly. Like he was afraid I'd pull away. "I told you I wasn't ready," I whispered, more to myself than to the figure. "And I said I'd wait," it replied. The parking lot exhaled, long and heavy. The air grew warmer, thick with memory. The distant storefronts blurred at the edges, as if the world beyond the lot was being slowly erased. "What is this place?" I asked. "What did it become?" The figure gestured downward. The concrete rippled beneath its feet, responding like skin. "It's a reservoir," it said, "for everything people leave behind when they're afraid." For moments that never got to finish breathing. My chest tightened painfully. I could feel it in other presences, layered beneath the surface. Not ghosts, not exactly, but impressions of lives interrupted. Longing pressed into stone. Fear soaked so deeply into the ground that it learned how to inhale. The parking lot breathed again deeper this time. I staggered as the surface dipped. The figure caught my arm, its touch solid, warm, heartbreakingly familiar. The contact sent a rush of emotion through me, grief, desire, regret. Tangled together. "You feel it now," the figure said softly. "You always did." "I didn't mean to abandon you," I said, tears blurring my vision. "I just didn't know how to stay without losing myself." The figure looked at me for a long moment. "You didn't lose yourself," it said. "You buried yourself." The words struck harder than any threat could have. The parking lot's breathing quickened. Around us, the stains pulsed faster, spreading like veins beneath translucent skin. I could hear it now, not just breath, but murmurs. Voices layered together, whispering fragments of unfinished sentences. I was scared. I loved you. I couldn't say it out loud. My hands trembled. What happens if I don't leave? I asked. The figure's grip tightened, slightly not restraining, just grounding. Then the lot keeps you, it said honestly. Like it keeps everyone who comes back carrying too much. A sudden image flashed through my mind, myself, standing here years from now, half-formed, pressed into concrete. Breathing only when someone else stumbled into the dark with the same fears? No, I said, shaking my head. I won't disappear like that. The figure studied me, searching. Then you have to finish what you started, it said. You can't keep pretending this place was just a parking lot. The ground beneath us shifted violently, forcing us apart. Cracks spread outward in jagged lines, the breathing becoming labored, uneven. The lights overhead flickered erratically, plunging sections of the lot into darkness. Something else was waking up. From the far end of the lot, shapes began to rise, not figures exactly, but bulges beneath the surface, as if something massive was stretching, testing its limits. The breathing grew louder, echoing through my bones. What's happening? I shouted. The lot doesn't like being denied, the figure said. It feeds on avoidance. On people who leave without closing the door. Fear surged, sharp and immediate. How do I stop it? The figure met my gaze. By staying long enough to be honest. Another surge rippled through the concrete, knocking me off my feet. I hit the ground hard, palms scraping against rough stone that felt disturbingly warm. Beneath my hands, the surface expanded. Contracting again as if responding to my touch, I could feel it, dozens of impressions beneath me, layered and restless. The lot wasn't malicious. It was hungry. Hungry for acknowledgement. For truth, I pushed myself upright, breath ragged. I loved you, I said suddenly, the words tearing free. I loved you. And I was terrified of what that meant. The breathing faltered, the figure froze, the whispers softened. I thought leaving would make it easier, I continued. Voice shaking but louder now. But all it did was leave everything unfinished. I carried it with me. Every day? The parking lot inhaled deeply, then released the breath slowly. Like something easing a long-held tension, the figure stepped closer. Its face was clearer now, less fragmented, less hollow. You don't have to stay here, it said gently. But you can't pretend it never mattered. I won't, I said. I promise. The ground shuddered one final time, then stilled. The bulges sank back beneath the surface. The cracks stopped spreading. The breathing slowed deep, steady, almost calm. For the first time since I arrived, the parking lot felt tired. The figure smiled faintly, sadness and relief woven together. That's all it ever wanted, it said. To be remembered. The lights steadied. The distant city sounds returned, faint but real. My car no longer looked impossibly far away. The figure began to fade, not dissolving violently, but thinning like mist caught in morning light. Will I see you again? I asked. The figure's voice echoed softly, layered with the murmurs beneath the concrete. You already do, it said. Every time you choose not to run. And then it was gone. I stood alone in the center of the parking lot, heart pounding, the ground beneath me finally. Still, but I knew deep in my chest that this wasn't over yet, because the parking lot had learned my breath, and I wasn't sure it was ready to let go. I locked my car and walked away slowly, every step deliberate, every breath my own. Behind me. The parking lot was silent. No rise, no fall, no hunger left in the concrete. Just asphalt, oil stains, and the faint memory of something that once wanted to be heard. I didn't look back. Some places only become monsters. When we abandon the parts of ourselves we leave buried there that night. I didn't escape because I ran. I survived because I finally stayed long enough to tell the truth. And for the first time in years, the world stopped breathing for me and let me breathe for myself.